Welcome today to our meetup where will be going through a couple of things. Basically, the topic for today is Beyond the Grid, which is really about finding the right work-life balance for our daily work and operational work. So let's see how that goes. Today we have 4 special guests with their fantastic basically additions where we'll be diving into some real things instead of like moving around theories. So let's see how it goes. And I'm your host, Narayan. I will be basically trying to look smart compared to the others, so hopefully you will survive it. I'm gonna speak English because we have a couple of people, non-Slovak people, I guess, non-Czechoslovak, whatever, and see how it goes. So basically, the one thing that I wanna raise here is that, my apologies, moving back by 1 slide, is that as usual we drive this very own meetup all together with TechFellows and Angel English community. We pair up, I would say, on average once a year when we go through a couple of things. Last time we were talking at Prague about the dormitories and other things. Then we moved to Bratislava, and basically we are helping each other. The TechFellows community has a couple of dozens of people. We have close to 900 people, mostly in Prague, Czech Republic. So that's basically how we are helping each other to make sure that basically we make sure that we elevate our game and create a new Silicon Valley in Central Europe out of what we do. So that's our mission. The one thing that I want to highlight here is that we are not going to talk about this. We are not going to talk about theories that are written in books. We are going to talk about some real things. So hopefully you will gain some insights that will be highly practical for you. Last time we were talking about whether we want to wake up at 5 a.m. or not, and is it helpful or not. So let's see what's the reality of things. I'm not the morning person, I have to say, while others might be there important and you know the essence. Speaking of that, I was gonna basically start with Martin, but of course, besides Martin, we have other speakers. You know, from a couple of other companies with Greenway, Innovatrix. You might know very well Lukas from Multitude IT Labs, and of course we have Martina coming from Kiwi.com that we know quite a lot, and all of our presenters have some really meaningful insights for you. So I think without no further ado, let's dive into the real things, and starting with Martin, if that's okay for you. And with that, in case I will give you the mic that I don't have. So let's make it work. So with all you, please welcome.
Okay. Thank you very much for the nice introduction. All right, so let's start somehow. Okay. The topic from my side today will be how to grow from the startup to 200 plus international company, and lessons learned from the people management. However, the time is quite short, so the topic is quite big, so I will focus only on a couple of things. But don't hesitate and ask whatever you are interested in later on in the Slido. Okay. Starting by a couple of facts when it comes to the startups. So there is more than 100 million startups launched globally each year. The fact is taken from some authority. 60% of business surviving first 3 years, and only 25% of startups are estimated to successfully scale and potentially exit. So the main information here is that really it's only 25% of the startups which can really survive. So I'm happy that the Greenway is part of this 25%, and yeah, come on. Yeah. So the main topic for today will be like how to survive, how to be in the 25% of the startups which are not startup anymore actually. So how to survive. For better understanding what I'm going to tell you about, and for better feeling that really the becoming from startup an international company is not an easy task. A couple of words about couple of information about the Greenway for you. We are building charging infrastructure for the electric vehicles operating in 3 countries, Slovakia, Poland, and Croatia. Nowadays, it's more than 2,500 charging stations in all the countries and more than 70,000 clients. The IT in a Greenway is about 30 people. All of them are, or most of them are sitting in the Slovakia. IT is the team which is sharing the services to the group, like all the countries. So I'm saying that for better understanding that it's not easy. It's not easy task to scale with the company fast and still provide the IT services and develop things. So let's move on. So how to survive? I pick up three main things which I consider as the most important. It's processes, open communication, and building the trust. So I will dig deeper for all of them, telling you what are the lessons learned from the Greenway, what are my personal lessons learned, what maybe tell you something about the let's say mistakes / fuck-ups. So hopefully you can take some lessons learned which we experienced and you can avoid them. So when it comes to the processes, by the way, before I start, all the images which you can see are generated by the Gen AI DALI text-to-image model, which I like the most. So I like playing with the Gen AI. So this is the outcome. So you can see that keeping the processes will make your work like more straightforward, more easygoing, like the superhero on the right side, which knows which way to take. So that's about processes. Okay. Rules makes us happy is like my motto, especially in IT. The IT guys are very practical. The IT guys want to know how to do, when to do, and what are the responsibilities. We obviously don't like to approach the managers and ask for permissions, and we want to know how to do something. We would like to know the processes. That's why IT in Greenway was the first department which really was focused on the processes, and that makes us happy, basically. The consistency and the transparency is something which needs to be kept, because if I'm not consistent about what I'm doing and what I'm saying, it basically doesn't work, right? So let's start by the example when the processes, let's say, saved us. The Greenway is working in a very dynamic way, I would say, and starting the point when we scaled up to the Poland and later on to the Croatia, the process is becoming more and more important. So you can imagine that IT sitting in one country, providing services to the another countries, it cannot work without the processes. Everybody needs to be aware how to raise the let's say task for the IT, how the business can expect the outcomes when, if it doesn't work, how to raise the incidents, what are the internal SLA, right? So all of this is part of the processes which saved our lives and makes us happy, ours and business, because it's, let's say, written down somewhere. So, okay, we are using Jira, of course, to tracking everything, and it's the, how to say, it's a gun for the business somehow, because, you know, the business is very demanding, right? Everybody wants to have everything very quickly. So then we use the Jira, showing them that, okay, guys, but yesterday you wanted this, today you wanted this. It's maybe in opposite what you asked yesterday, so think twice. So I started by processes because it's really something which we need to still work on. The open communication is another topic which is very much important when you want to really scale and keep the team working happy and keep the team in the company. So, okay, be honest to yourself and your team. Be brave enough to open demanding topics. That's something which everybody needs to learn and practice. And be open to listen unpleasant feedback. Maybe very recent situation in the Greenway was that we experienced we faced the global outage of the charging stations, like in all the countries. Hopefully there's no Greenway client. If there is, sorry for that. And it happened on Saturday, right? So it's like totally worst day when something like that can happen. But it happened. It was like outage of the charging stations. It was obviously issue on the IT side because IT is responsible for connectivity. So what was next? Like, okay, business was angry. Why it happened, and how to prevent it in the future, and such questions were raised. So then, the IT, or let's say it's myself, I was telling to the team and to myself that, okay, be honest to ourselves and be brave to say the truth and be open to listen unpleasant feedback because it's unpleasant, right? So what we did, firstly, we didn't blame anybody that it was your fault. It was your fault. No, we did it other way. I didn't care who fault it was. I cared about why it happened and what we can do for the future to prevent it. So we created such a report that, okay, this happened, this is what we did, this is how we will implement the measurements for the future. We created such a report, presented to the business, saying that, sorry, it happened, etc., etc. And it was very good received by the business because they saw that we care. It was enough, without saying that it was his fault. So be honest and be open and be brave to tell about demanding topics is very important to really keep the scaling, keep the business on our side, and keep the team in the company, because otherwise, nobody wants to work for a company who is blaming you. In building the trust, this is the last of these 3 pillars, and it's about using in the communication. I think it's very much important in the communication using the understandable wording. And this is really what I learned on myself when I'm sitting with the management board of the Greenway. I'm a member of the board, so I'm sitting with them really often. And always I start explaining that, guys, this happened because this, and I using the technical words. It's like, and there's silent. So I'm saying to myself, right, I did it very good because they buy it, they understand it, now it's fine. 1 week later, again the same question, right? So it's useless. I need to use the understandable wording. I need to use the words which everybody understands, and then this is the only way how it can work. Data-driven reasoning is obviously the only way how we can prove that what we are saying is really true, because people tend to say the feelings, but this is not the way how we can make the decisions. So data-driven reasoning and avoid communication tricks. Do you know what are the communication tricks? Yeah. So
I would say communication tricks are sort of positive. Why is it in a negative?
Yeah. So this is a good point, because avoid. So it means that it's quite in a negative way, at least in this case. Communication tricks, you can see, like, for example, the generalization. So let's take one example. There was a developer who delegated all his work to the Indians, right? And so somebody can say all the developers are doing it that way. So it's a generalization which really we should avoid in a productive discussion. But what I don't like, or let's say like the most, is when I'm raising some idea, the opposite side starts talk too much, really long and too much, that I forget what I initially wanted. And this is happening very, very often. I don't know why. And it is like this. So because of this is happening, we are actually still learning in the Greenway how to stop such kind of communication. Really, I need to tell the opposite side, my discussion partner, please stop. This is not my point, so please stop and come back 1 step back. And this is my point, and please react on that. And there are many communication tricks. I really recommend to take some training and to really understand them and to be able to recognize them. it's very important in a successful communication and teamwork. Okay, that's basically it. Now there's a space for Q&A. Another great picture.
Can you click one more time?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Okay, one moment.
The one question that we have is naming internally who is most responsible for the part of the process without the blame of blaming better. You know, the names, I think owners hangs in the air. Yeah, so what's your take on that?
Okay, sir. Naming internally who is Okay, sometimes yes, sometimes no. but it's a good point. The internal is, but the internal you mean inside of the team or face to face?
So depends, but I understand you don't want to blame somebody like in front of the client or the business side, but when you do the post-mortem without naming like, okay, you were responsible for this, you should do this better next time, so you don't have the full lessons. And it can be on a team meeting if you have the trust built in. Like.
Yeah, I'm doing it that way only when I decided to fire the person. Otherwise, and it's also my lesson from the past that it's better to name what was the issue, raise the issue to the team, saying that, okay, guys, this happened, and asking open questions. Why, when, what do you think about that? You know, and the discussion starts, and somebody say that, okay, I did this. Somebody else say, okay, I did this, and in most of the cases, it's not one person's responsibility, because everybody do some part, and altogether it come up with the critical incident. so it's better not to really name. At least it's my recommendation. Only, yeah, if you want to fire the person, then I don't hesitate. Like, you did it. Okay. Who represents the business in your case?
Yeah, question from Lubo, I guess.
Yeah, business. It's a good question. It's our, let's say, internal term for everybody apart from IT.
Okay.
Because
Kind
IT,
of big group.
yes,
Support.
exactly. Because IT Greenway is the internal department delivering the solutions to the company. We are not the software house. So for us, the business are the guys from asset management, from sales, from construction, from, I don't know, marketing. So like basically anybody.
Okay, thanks.
What tools do you use to establish processes and open communication within the tech team itself, and then out to the rest of the company? Very helpful is Jira, because we used to say that if it's not in the Jira, we don't care. So that's like an automatic reply for almost everyone who is trying to ask for something. Please raise it to the Jira. Please raise it to the Jira. It's not there, so I don't care. So the tool for us is the Jira, then it is Confluence as a knowledge base. And of course, we have the Microsoft environment implemented, so that there's Teams, Outlook, etc. So the tools are basically that. What I can add on top of this is that we are intensively working on introduction of product management. It's more like methodology. It's not really the tool, but this is the methodology which should really facilitate in a more efficient way how the priority are set, who is in charge of saying that this is much more important than this. So product management is something which is a topic for us nowadays.
So coming to the last two questions, please, and then we can narrow down the rest of the questions, you know, at the final Q&A.
All right. Can you remember and share one significant organizational or cultural hack that allowed you to scale exponentially? Allowed you to scale, okay, like company scale, right? Or the team scale, or company scale, or the business scale? Organizational cultural hack. Okay, let me think. Which was the which activity made the biggest change? I think that it was more structured organization. At some point in the past, we created new departments and set the responsibilities more granularly, because when you are in the startup phase, like everybody is doing everything. But as the company grows, you need to strictly say who is in charge of what. And I think this was the most important, because now I know that I should focus on this part of the business and don't care about the rest of the, let's say, parts. Because if I will still care about everything, I will do actually nothing. So organization structure, which was somehow set, and still it's shaping somehow. And the processes are still under definition.
Perfect. And coming to the last question from Philip, please.
When someone in your team wants to refactor a piece of code, how do you decide to practice it against? Yeah, this is a very good question.
It's never ending question, right? So, yeah.
We did a decision on a board level that there is some amount of time per half a year where IT can invest for internal efficiency. And internal efficiency is for either automatization or refactoring or whatever, or let's say test coverage. So all these points somehow increase the internal efficiency, including the refactoring. So this is the time which IT can freely decide what we'll do without asking for the priorities.
And what's the percentage?
It used to be 25, now it's little less. It's very agile.
Yeah.
Okay, but there's one more, which is the last one. So,
yeah.
Okay. You mentioned processing. Did you have to create a separate support channel for emerging markets? Emerging markets, or are all markets go through the same channel? What do you think by emerging markets?
Like you mentioned that you expanded to Croatia, Poland.
Okay, so there are no separate channels for every country. There's only one channel, and so you are thinking about how to prioritize the countries. Is your point, or?
Like I think like if it's a new market, perhaps they have some kind of a priority. I guess there can be some business goals or some experimentation, perhaps. I don't know.
The most important information here is that the Greenway established a board team, and the board is combined or created by the CEOs and chiefs from all the countries. So altogether there is 7 people in the board, and the decisions are always made by the agreement of all of them. So that's the main point here.
Okay, perfect. So I think we are good here. So give it up for Martin once again. I've got a good news for you. After we go through the second presenter, there will be a couple of minutes break. So please settle up for a while. Just to sum things up, for me as a key takeaways that Martin was talking about, I think to me the main key point is that you've established sort of a postmortems. That's one of the things that help you scale. And the other thing, what was kind of surprising for me, is that although processes are sort of helping you, to me on the other hand, like I'm looking rather having some sort of guidelines as opposed to some strict processes. So that's some of the differentiators that I see here. Of course, I can understand that you need to achieve certain baseline in order to, then allow to go in and allow certain changes. So yeah, I totally get it. So moving on to our second presenter, which is Lukas this time. As you might know, Lukas comes from Multitude IT Labs. He's pretty famous as a figure in Slovak Republic, I guess. So give it up for Lukas as well, and looking forward for his story.
Okay, I see I look much better on the picture, but yeah, let's not solve that right now.
Welcome in my world. Yeah.
We should build a team there.
Yeah.
So yeah, speaking of pictures, imagine this guy, but 10 years ago. It was, I think, around 2014. I had much more hair than I have now. I'm usually wearing a suit, a blue suit and a quite fancy shirt. I'm in love with those. My favorite one is a white one with quite colorful and tiny ice hockey players. Combined with the blue suit, it looks shit looking back. I agree. Let's not talk about it way too much. To complement the outfit, I'm not wearing, just keep in my hand, black leather handy bag. It's like this big for the laptop because I have, I think, 16-inch for some reason. I don't know why. But yeah, that's sort of for your understanding of how I looked back then. I work as a project manager at that time. Not that I would study project management or would have some relevant experience, but don't ask me how. I somehow managed to get the role. And yeah, I should have switched, I guess. Let's wait 2 seconds and let's wait 2 more seconds. Cool. Now it makes sense, I hope. So yeah, I didn't have much of an experience, but I wear what PMs wear at 2014, and my business card says I'm a PM. So I mean, what more do you want to have in life? I feel great. It's like best years of my life. I feel like I know everything. I have all the answers for the team and for the guys and whatever they want, and I have them 24/7. I don't need to rest. I usually wake up around 8. 5 minutes after 8, I'm literally at work. You ask how I do that. I keep the laptop by the bed, so I don't need to wake up and do all the stuff that people like to do in the morning. So I'm as efficient as possible. I like to check first thing, just progress done overnight, because yeah, some of the guys in the team are sleepless for some reason. So yeah, I look at the board. Sometimes, not every single day, I try to have some breakfast. Usually anything that is in the fridge and that is not way past the expiry date. Sometimes it's possible, sometimes it's not. Really depends case by case. Afterwards, I look at the progress done overnight, and I'm trying to figure out what to do during the day. I have a very scientific method. I look at the list of issues and I somehow guess which one is the easiest one, because the more you get rid of from the board, the better it looks for the management. So yeah, don't get inspired too much by that, but I mean, feel free to try. Yeah, after a couple of hours of looking busy, being busy sometimes, I go for lunch to my favorite restaurant. Canteen, let's call it canteen, which got stuck in the 80s, and also the menu did. Let me tell you just one thing, they don't save on fat at all. So I'm eating a quite huge fried schnitzel. There's a bit of meat inside, but not much. So afterwards, I'm quite, well, not able to move, not even think. Since we are releasing to production later during the day, I have to get ready for that, and I did that by eating a huge pile of dessert. So imagine that I can't really use my brain in the rest of the day. Yeah. Around 6 p.m. we start with the production. It was the times where you actually had to plan and align. It was not automatically done every 2 hours or every other day or something like that. So yeah, it's 6 p.m. It's Friday. It's not because of the outages or impact on a customer. It's just we would like to have a weekend off. I hope you hear the oxymoron here, starting the release 6 p.m. Friday and having the weekend off. So yeah, those were the times. As you can see, I don't have any framework, any structured approach, any habits built around healthy or even life balance, or however you want to call that. However, I feel great about it. Looking back, I'm in a quite deep swimming pool. I feel like Michael Phelps. I can't really get lost or drowned. Thinking right now about it, I'm more like a Titanic, roughly half an hour after it hit the iceberg. I was not completely drowned, but yeah, not far from that. Even though I work around the clock, I feel I'm not really productive. I feel quite tired, often, quite stressed, I would even say. Always by my laptop. I even carry it to the party. I don't know why, but yeah, I guess that was part of culture I had somehow in mind. And yeah, evening, morning, night, whatever, I try to talk to the guys in the team and try to help them. However, around 2019, things change. I got rid of the suit. I just still stick with a fancy shirt. Again, you don't care, but most favorite one is bright yellow with small white flowers on it. It looks actually rather good, I would say. The change of environment helps me to actually see that there is something else than just work. I got myself into a setup where people leave work around 4 p.m. 4 p.m. And that's not the most surprising thing for me. The most surprising thing for me is they leave their laptops in the office. So I'm trying to figure it out somehow. It's quite a change of mindset from where I was before. So yeah, I'm kind of trying to do the same thing. Not the first day, of course, because I have to look. I'm busy. So after a week, I try to do the same thing. I'm leaving the office quite scared, but I mean, yeah, screw it. People do it, so I think I can handle that somehow as well. So I come back the next day to the office and I feel quite actually, well, a bit of a stress because, what if anything happened during the night and I was not there? But I mean, nothing happened because people are just kind of okay with not working over the night. So yeah, I feel quite refreshed. I feel quite, well, what's the opposite of tired? Relaxed, yeah. And I'm quite in a good mood. I'm actually ready to tackle some stuff that we have to work during the day. I even hear a term that people use in the office for this kind of setup. I think they call them work-life balance. First time I heard it, I laughed because I thought it was a joke. I realized that, well, it's not. What else was there? Oh, yeah. So I have plenty of free time suddenly. I have all evening free, so I'm trying to figure out like what to do with that time. So I got quite interested in topics like sleep. That's quite a basic one. Stuff around nutrition, around sports, around actually meeting people other than your colleagues, because I figure out there are also some other people that you meet in the office. And yeah, just trying to use the time wisely. Did you know that we are the only mammals that we willingly delay sleep? Do you think we are still the smartest one on the earth? Let's not answer that part. But yeah, contrary to what Martina shared in the very beginning, I start to read books, and I will mention a couple of them, but more as a source of inspiration. So yeah, things around sleep, nutrition, how body and brain works. What I find quite interesting is the Power of Sleep by Matthew Walker, I believe. Then there is Bill Bryson wrote, I think it's called Body. It's freaking thick one, so I guess, well, it's a challenge to read, but it gives you quite good overview. Sometimes way too detailed, but yeah, gives you a sense of how stuff works inside our body, including brain. Maybe one more I would mention is, I think it's called Bread by James Nestor. The thing with these books is that you can usually summarize them like within a couple of pages. You don't need to read the whole book. If you are this kind of person, there is, I think, Blinkist app, which gives you quite good overviews and summaries in brief. If you are a book lover, then yeah, just scroll through the book somehow. So yeah, I'm kind of apparently at the crossroads to either continue the path of a semi-professional workaholic / alcoholic / party man / whatever there is, or to actually get back to these books, readings, and stuff out of work. So I have some sort of idea how things could work out of work. I see that it helps me actually to be much more productive and feel much better at work. So yeah, I'm trying to figure that out. Yeah, it says expert, but let's talk about it for a while. So moving to recent years, even the fancy shirts are gone. As you can see, I'm in love with white t-shirts right now. And let's keep it as a mystery if I have just one or I have more of them. So I have some ideas around the work-life balance. I've seen that it actually helps me and the teams get much more be much more productive and even in a much better mood in the office and also out of the office. What I'm missing here is some sort of structure. I like to have like set up and plan what to do, when to do. So again, sorry for that, but I will mention two books. One is from Charles Duhigg around habits, and the other one is, I believe, James Clear. And These give me an idea how to build some good structured approach to life in general. So how does it look like for me? Yeah, and I will not stop with the books. I will also mention some other things that you might not be happy about, but that's what works for me. So I wake up at 6. I'm not in 5 a.m. club, hands off, but I wake up at 6, and I will tell you why it makes sense for me. Right after that, I mean, I keep a book by the sofa, so I don't need to look for an excuse why not to read this morning. Kids are asleep until 7, so I have 1 hour of quiet time. That's why I wake up rather early. Around 7, we have breakfast with kids, usually a combination of proteins, carbs, and fat. Not as much fat as I used to mention earlier, but some reasonable amount. Sounds fancy, but it's basically muesli with milk, so you don't need to anything like very, very detailed. Speaking of food, I use food tracking app. Let's call it that way. If you happen to know Kalorické tabulky, might ring some bell. I've been using that for quite a while. So basically, in short, you put your expected amount of carbs, fats, fiber, whatever calories that you want to eat during the day or consume, and yeah, you try to stick with it. That's basically the name of the game. If you want to get the numbers right, there is like a bunch of calculators that help you with it. I think the most popular one is tdee.com, or there is a bunch of nutrition specialists that will help you. I've started with this habit, I think 3 or 4 years ago, when I quite seriously wanted to gain some weight and hit the gym. This is the only habit that sticks with me from that era. So now I have, I think, around 1,100 days streak in the app. You don't need to applaud me for that. That's my job. So you may be wondering, or maybe even asking, isn't it painful to weigh all the food that you eat, because you somehow need to measure that? Yes, it was. After a couple of years, I have a sense of how much stuff weighs, so I'm good enough with guessing. Sometimes when it comes to processed food, you can just scan the barcode and it will fill all the details for you. Yeah. So there is a half job done. After breakfast, I usually go for a brief walk. If there is time, not always the case, just to get my mind started to think about work-related stuff. I try to somehow split between kids and morning part, and rest of the day it just helps me and works for me quite well. I use calendar to plan the day and week. For me, it's not only the meetings that other people push in for you, but also things I'd like to work on. So I have even specific tasks or areas that I'd like to look at during the day, work on, and I have them in the calendar. I also use to-do list for more of a like strategic things that I like to revisit once, twice a week to have a sense of actually which way I'd like to go. What else do I do? Yeah, so in multi-site lab doesn't really set and sort of example of being always online or always available. So I have sort of no pressure to close the lid around 4 p.m. roughly and pick the kids up from the kindergarten. By the way, if you like kids and you have some or you want to have some, it's quite good help to set the boundaries, because you know the kindergarten closes at some point, so you just have to leave. So that yeah. Just if you have enough money for that, because it's quite an expensive hobby. Moving on to the evening, I try to focus back on the family. Is there any Lego fan here?
Yeah.
Yeah, not so many. Never mind. So I'm not sure what your excuse is, but since I have kids, I get to play whenever I want, and I can get to build whatever I want without my wife accusing me of being childish. And I mean, I switch completely off. It's really like an activity I would recommend even to people who are not fans of Lego yet. Afterwards, I like to have a rest a bit. Yeah, I watch TV also. I can just say it out loud sometimes. Or I just lay down, do some crosswords, whatever that doesn't involve taking care of kids, because they are hopefully in bed already. Roughly half an hour before bedtime, I even have that planned. I like to dim the light a bit and maybe read something. So actually the body understands that, yeah, we are moving on to the next phase of the day. I like to avoid like TV or phone roughly 1 hour, half an hour before the sleep. I've recently read a study that it doesn't help that much as we expected, but I mean, I'm happy not to see any notifications up just before I get to bed. Yeah, so and then I sleep. I sleep around 7 to 8 hours. That's what I figured out works for me well. I tried different stuff, but this is where I got myself in. So yeah, you see, I have some sort of structured approach. I know that this works for me right now. I understand that it will change in time because my wife will get back to work, because kids will get older and we'll have just different schedule, because I will work less from home or more from home. I mean, yeah, it's something that will be evolving in time. So if I should sum things up, we'll get there. Basically 3 points that I take away from my journey, and maybe you will, we'll see. One is I had to see and understand myself that there is something more to life than just work. And so don't be like me. The change of environment helps me to understand this. For you, it can be your mentor, your friend, your self-reflection, or maybe even today's talk, you will see. Point number 2, just experiment. Try and learn and try different approaches to your balance. I think 2 years ago, I had quite a stressful period at work. I tried meditation. It didn't work for me. I just couldn't focus for like 4 minutes of this guided meditation. So yeah, it didn't work for me well. I tried to shift the sleeping schedule. So I think I went to bed around like 2 a.m. or something like that. Still try to keep this 8 hours sleep, but the next day I was so wasted that, I mean, not from alcohol, but from the sleep change, that it didn't work for me. I tried a couple of times or a couple of days in a row, but it didn't work for me well. I tried to hit the gym in the evening, but I couldn't fall asleep for the next 3 hours. So yeah, that doesn't work for me. But I know there are people who are happy to go to gym at 9 and they can just fall asleep afterwards. And yeah, point number 3, and again, these are the 2 buzzwords that just have to be part of this kind of presentation, and that's the motivation and discipline, of course. But let me make it practical. You can have the whatever best system or structure built, how you want to approach life and how you actually want to work. But if you forget why you are doing that, it will fall apart sooner or later. So as simple as writing down, I want to be a better developer, husband, father, friend, whatever, until being as specific as I want to deliver 80% of the roadmap into production by end of the year with this very specific budget. Whatever works for you, the goal is keep it somewhere where you can actually see it. Put it on a post-it that you have in front of you, put it on the screen, just not to get lost of this. And whatever decision you make, you will somehow, because you see it, try to consider it at least. So yeah, that's the sort of my journey from a very unexperienced but very confident guy who had zero knowledge about work-life balance through let's call it volley of despair, a bit of an enlightenment from the environment, until I would not call it expert, I would call it a reasonably sustainable setup that works for me now. So yeah, I hope that you will be able to take something away, either to try out, or maybe we can talk afterwards about things you are trying to solve. And speaking of talking afterwards, I'd be happy to connect with you either in person today or through LinkedIn. And I also invite you to have a look at, not have a look, actually you can have a look. It's podcast, but there is video. Sometimes where we talk with Lenka Gašparovičová, you may or may not know her, about how to build and lead people and teams. Thank you.
Thanks.
Right?
Perfect. And before we move to Q&A, I've got one of the questions. So for you, Lukas, moving from basically the ignorance stage to some sort of culture, was it some sort of luck that you just changed the company from one to another, or was it sort of a systematic
I would call it
decision?
luck. I mean, you don't, yeah, like have to.
Anything more to add, please, to that?
it was pure luck. I hope that I would be able to come to that understanding one day. But for me, it was pure luck.
Okay.
No magic behind it.
So are you saying we should be waiting for having been
No,
lucky?
that's one way how to get to that.
Okay.
Not the ideal one.
Okay.
If the luck happens when you are 50, no.
Okay. Okay.
If luck happens when you are 19, yeah. I mean, why not? But that's not that doesn't mean you should wait for it to happen. Since today you are smart enough to know that you should go for it yourself.
Perfect. Fantastic. So moving on to Q&A. So we got a question from Matej. What was your tipping point when you recognized your need for this change?
Yeah, that would be a nice story, but there was not a tipping point, unfortunately, or not a realization by myself. As I said, it was basically luck that I got to different environment where I could see that, okay, maybe there is something more to the life than what I've been doing so far. So yeah, that's not the one where, it just enlightened me that I should do things differently. No, I was quite lucky and I'm happy for that.
The other question that we have, do you think you would be where we are in your career-wise if you started work the balance you have now with the balance you have now?
Good question.
You would be a cosmonaut, I guess, or something?
Yeah, not sure. I mean, hard to say. I mean, it's been 10 years roughly or more that I work, and half of it was 24/7. If it was there are other people than me in work. So I think I mean it will be different, of course, but I don't think it would be like significantly different.
Okay. And moving to the last question from Maria.
Yeah, that's
Maybe a domestic course.
It's tricky because of two reasons. One, my wife's name is Maria, so I hope it's not her asking. The other one is that I mean I try to help. Let's be frank. This one I usually use weekend for that. Sometimes I have a colleague from the office here, but whatever. Sometimes when I work from home, I just spend 10 minutes vacuuming stuff around the house. So I try to do it on the best effort basis. Let's put it this way.
Okay. Perfect. So I think we are good for here. So once again, a round of applause for Lukas. And I guess we've got a couple of minutes break, if I'm not mistaken. So you can refresh yourself, please, and enjoy and start with our network. So see you very soon. In 7 minutes. Máme tam teda nakonec ten vlastně celý No slides. No PowerPoint, nothing like that. So let's give it a try and let's see how it works. We're really excited to make it work. So
thank you, Marian. Actually, when I was preparing for this presentation, I thought like what productivity trick I will use, and this was my productivity trick that I will skip preparing slides.
Is it your slides, by the way?
No,
Okay.
Vicky did it.
Another productivity.
Basically, thank you for coming here, and I'm happy to see here several known faces. This is, I think, 6th or 7th TechFellows Meetup. So yeah, I'm happy to see you here. And for those who don't know me, my name is Martina Ivaničová, and I work at Kiwi as head of data engineering. And currently, this is my role, but I'm in engineering for like 15 years or something. I went through different roles, different software or data engineering roles in different companies. And today I want to share with you my observation, because I keep seeing the same pattern, how time gets lost, how we waste time, me, but my colleagues as well. And I call them like time traps, these places where time just gets sucked. So I will now share with you like these 3 time traps I identified. And I wish someone told me 15 years ago, but I'm telling you about this now. So I hope you can use this information somehow and avoid these time traps. So let me start with a story. It was a couple of years ago. Back then I was working for one big corporate company, and it was a huge international project. Hi Artem, you were on the same project, and really, like, we were 7 geographically distributed teams. We had dependencies, deadlines, milestones. Really, we were running to meet our plans. And one day our manager came and said, I know what is your problem. And I said, okay, what is it? You don't have enough time. Right, that's correct. But I have a solution for you. So tomorrow, you all 20, go to the time management training. Very effective. Is there someone among you who already calculated this is 20 man days? Yeah, is it? Raise your hands, please. Okay. I'm not the only weirdo. Well, so we went to the training next day, and to be honest, it was not 20 man days lost. It was maybe just like 19 man days lost, because in first couple of minutes, we learned important time management tricks. And I will now tell you about what was it. So first of all, first rule, if you get a task, reject it. If this task cannot be rejected, find someone else who can do it. And if it cannot be rejected, if it cannot be delegated, put it to your calendar. Now, yeah, sounds simple, but but there is a huge piece of knowledge in it, because for the first step, if I'm really asked to do something and this can be rejected because there is no like value in it, or I don't understand what happens if I don't do it, if I don't ask what is the value for users, what is the value for the business in accomplishing this task, then it is a waste of time. So it is time trap number 1. It sounds simple, but I have another story from my very first job. Maybe I think I was at high school or maybe first year at university. It was a part-time job, nothing with engineering, and I worked for a supermarket. And my job was to put these snacks into shelves. And my manager came and she told me that I should cut each cover of that snack, so the air goes out and I can stack more snacks on top of it. And this was like stupid. It could harm customers. It was complete nonsense. So what did I do?
You rejected.
I did nothing, and I did as I was told. And why? Because I didn't care, and I had no means. Like, why should I speak out? And I don't have trust that if I speak out, something will change or something will be different. And this is a big lesson learned for me from that time, that we as engineering managers, I saw that there in the first survey, there were like 41% of us here in this room are engineering managers. So we engineering managers, our mission is to create an environment where the culture is such that anybody can challenge the task, challenge if it is meaningful, challenge how it is helping customers and how it is bringing us closer to our goal. Yeah, so that was a time trap number one, working on wrong things. But there is another time trap I identified, which is like doing right things, but with the wrong methods. And again, I have a nice story. A story I'm a bit embarrassed of, but yeah, let's see. It was a couple of years ago. I was part of an L3 support team. I was working in a software house. We developed an enterprise solution for a government agency. It was an agenda system used by clerks, and we piloted this solution and we moved it to production. And suddenly, we started receiving ticket requests to our support that the performance of a certain module is really bad. Like it is slow, it loads endlessly. One user actually told us, like, I open the screen, I go for a cigarette, and once I'm back, it loads only then. So it was really like massive embarrassment. So what we did, me and my colleague, we jumped into the issue right away. We started digging into logs. We tried to identify bottlenecks. And my colleague, it was a Java solution, so he jumped into refactoring the backend code. My expertise was like SQL, so I jumped into optimizing database queries. I read through SQL plans, explained plans, and he came up with some optimizations. We released it to production, and guess what? The issue was still there. So we did a couple of these iterations with the same result, and only then, I think I was reading some smart book by the time, I realized there is a method called GOB. Ever heard of that method? It's a very sophisticated method. GOB stands for go out of the building. So I really went out of the building. I went on my bike. I still remember I had my helmet in my hand. I entered the room where our users, the clerks, really working. Hi, I'm Martina. I'm your IT guy. I'm going to fix your problem. And really, like in 5 minutes, I identified what was an issue, and the same day we released the fix. It was really stupid and embarrassing thing. There was a drop down on the HTML page. In our test environment, this was just 10 items. In production, it was 1,000 or 10,000 items. And it just the page was just frozen. So we worked it in a jQuery and dynamically fetched the list of values, fixed in the same day. So what I'm trying to tell you now, we were so focused on our expertise. My colleague on his refactoring, me on my skill, which was optimizing SQL queries, that we lost focus. We were so immersed in our craft that we were trying to solve the right problem, but the wrong methods, because these methods were close to our heart. We knew them, so we just used them. And this might sound like an isolated case, but I have another one. This is not my personal experience, but of my close colleague, and he worked in another corporate as a data engineer. And he told me, when I joined that team, I discovered that there was a guy on the team who developed their own job orchestrator in Python by himself, one-man show. And it took him so and so time. He was really smart, so the solution worked. But imagine, he did it because he enjoyed the coding, he was smart, he could do it, but he didn't look around and he didn't even notice there is Apache Airflow, open source tool doing the very same, which has a huge community out there. So again, we are engineers, we love coding, we love building stuff, but we have to, look at the impact, like how we are building time traps for the future and how we are using wrong tools, even if we are trying to solve the right problem. Now, yeah, this is funny because my third time trap, last time trap, is actually denying the first two time traps, because my third time trap is being too afraid of falling into first or second time trap. And I will explain this again on some use case, but before that, is there anybody, or is it just me being so unlucky, that you were in a situation, on a team, in a project, that you were waiting? You were waiting for some team lead or head of department to come and set up a strategy, that you were waiting for some, I don't know, a committee to decide on the vision, that you were waiting for some architect to be hired to set the direction, decide on a tech stack. Is there anybody who experienced this? Oh my God, so many of you. Okay, I thought that I will give one or two reports. No, not for you, because you have this. You have to scan it with scan the barcode. And it happened to me a couple of times, but let me tell about one or two. I joined a brand new team, and this team was still in a ramping phase. So there was not yet a backlog. The people were being hired. This was like green grass project. And I joined this team, and on a first stand-up, first day, I heard that like one guy solving some data thing and another guy setting up Kafka locally. It sounded so cool. Next day, the stand-up was about like more or less the same. And on third day, I was like really suspicious what is going on here. And like some of you know me, but some not. But those who know me, that I cannot sit around and doing nothing for a long time. So I somehow pursued 3 colleagues that we join our forces, even if we don't have backlog, even if we don't have product manager, even if we don't have roadmap yet, even if it is not decided what stack we will work on, we joined our forces and we made a demo sprint. We made up what we will be working on. We knew as much that we will do some like data visualization. So we decided we will try these 4 JavaScript libraries. We did some 4 POCs. And at the end, was it working on wrong thing? Yes, it was. Was it working on wrong method? Yeah, basically, I think for all 4 libraries, we like rejected at the end. Or maybe one of them we used, not sure. But third, was it making sense? Yeah, it was, because we learned how to cooperate. We set up our sprint ceremonies. We set up Git repo and agreed how we will do branches and merge request reviews. And we actually did a very nice evaluation of these libraries, which was then used in the whole company. So even if it looks like you are going in a dead end, it might bring value eventually and save time in future, even if it is not obvious. I have another example. I'm in data engineering, as you might notice. And I experienced like companies scale up from like small, no, not really startup, but from scale up to corporate, let's say. And initially you have just like 1 or 3 to 5, I don't know, dashboards. As a company grows, there is a hunger for data growing as well. And suddenly you end up, this is a typical evolution in many companies, suddenly you end up with everybody having their own dashboard. You end up with having 5 different numbers of what was your revenue yesterday. And it's a mess. So we wanted to address this mess. and we decided to go one way. We built something which should be a source of truth of that mess, let's say, like source of truth for particular data. And eventually it was not the right way, because what was the core issue was that the data which were flowing in were in wrong quality, so that it was a problem of trash in, trash out. But by doing things, we uncovered other issues. So the thing that we did not stand on the spot helped us to find right thing to solve, so to resolve the issue number one. Well, so let me wrap up. These are my 3 time traps. One, doing wrong things, things which do not matter. Second, doing right things, but with wrong methods. And 3, being so afraid of doing bad decision, of taking wrong direction, that I do nothing. This is all from my side.
Perfect. So other than to add to that and to the beautiful presentation that we've got, there is something that I learned from what you've been saying, which is to me like, instead of being sort of passive and waiting, we should rather come up with some sort of proposal, at least get things moved, as opposed to be, let's say, somebody comes to us and the boss says how things should be working, right? So this is the very efficiency of that. So perfect. Moving on to some Q&A, hopefully, that we have. Vicky, do we have any questions, or we are good?
Questions at the moment.
Okay, perfect.
Free to submit.
So I guess it was pretty inspirational and motivational with no further questions added. So
No
perfect.
questions, but I will be still around, so let's talk, guys.
Yeah, I will definitely have a couple of questions on my end. So let's get things moving. And without further ado, let's move to Method, who's coming from Innovatrix. Been working with Method for quite some time as well. By the way, Method is known being ahead of how's that, development or delivery? Delivery at Innovatrix, handling a couple of dozens of people. And if you don't know Method very much, I would recommend you to follow his Rebar at rebar.me website, where he's got a couple of tips and tricks that you might find very inspiring. So without further ado, moving on to Method and his beautiful drone pictures that he's created for us.
Yeah. So thank you, Marianne. Thank you for letting me attend your meetups and start with my slides. I apologize upfront for my drawings, but I'm not that good at drawer. But this was the best way I could.
How much time you spent with the presentation, please?
Quite a lot, but it was also not for me, and I will get with it. So the topic for me was, when I was thinking about it, like first thing that come to my mind, and usually comes to people's mind, it's like work and life. It's like scales maybe, and sometimes one is lower, sometimes the other is lower, but usually you can go through it. It's hard, it's not easy, but it's manageable. But actually, from my own experience, in more of a balancing act, and why this difference is important is because sooner or later, like one or the other, if you tip the scale one way or the other, will crushes the other. I experienced this several times, like maybe first time during the university years, when I was like probably suicidal, and basically my friends slapped me at the balcony when we were talking about it, and that set me straight. But it was because of this, like I put too much on the work part and study part, and my life went to shit. Can I be expressive here?
Yes, please.
So this happens usually, and we should try to avoid it. So what to do? Why this happens? So first of all, like simple realization, everybody probably went through this, like when you put the numbers throughout the week, like what do you actually have? If you are like standard employee, not a company owner, probably it's more than 8 hours then. But if you're a standard employee during the week, like you need to sleep, you need to work, you need to commute, you need to eat some food, stuff like that. And it leaves like less than 8 hours a day for stuff that we call life, like kids, wife, community, books, sports, travel, whatever you can call it. So if you go into this battle like balancing act, you will eventually lose. So what people usually try to do is like change sizes. Okay, we already talked about it. Also my strategy, cut sleep, great idea. Let's sleep 4 hours a day, definitely will work. Or let's work part-time. Okay, it's somehow manageable for some people, sometimes not. Or let's cut commute, let's go on home office. We'll lose some social interaction, but it's doable. Or let's cut wife from our wife and we will have more time for anything. And it's funny, but it happens to people because if you don't invest into relationship, they will end. So there's one way to set the balance straight. So if you go into this battle, you will need to balance every day and it's pulling you apart basically over the long time. But there is another way, I think, and I call it integration. So you basically try to integrate work and life together. So you try to find work that fits with your life and you try to manage it in a way that it works. And it can be slight integration or tighter integration. But why this should work is because when you put it in the middle, as you can see, you don't need to balance that much anymore because it's easier. You don't need to balance two things, you have one thing or two things that are close together. So the balancing is not that difficult. It's like the matter or level of integration depends on your preferences. If you have it really tight, it can be dangerous because if something happens to your work, it can really destroy your life. If you have the slighter or as slight as you can, it's still balancing more and more. What I try to do is keep it pretty close together, but have some like backdoors. So, you know, friends outside of work, some hobbies outside of work, stuff like that. But work is pretty huge part of my life and I take it as it is. And I have friends at work. I go to vacation with them. We go for a beer. We have common interests. We watch American football. We read books, whatever. So I do not have to do this balancing act, but I have also this life part still. And I think, and I've been changing jobs. So I think it's doable to move from one to the other. So how to do this integration? So a bit of theory, and I will talk about my case. I think these are the steps already mentioned. Some you need to do some exploration. You need to do some evaluation in your context. You need to have, and this is my part or part I took from 7 Habits mostly. I recommend the workshop if you haven't taken it. Have clear values, have your role set up, and then you set the goals and deal with setbacks. Pretty straightforward, so let's get to it. And let's start a bit of my story. So you know where I'm coming from. So let's start with the exploration part. This is basically just the work part starting somewhere in the high school. It's without the life part. So I also needed to balance the life part, but it was the exploration. So I started like working in the kitchen and as a farmer or construction. Then I went to the Cisco Academy, went to Germany for a year. Then started the university at Faculty of Informatics. Joined research groups, going IT support and programmer and PhD security. I joined some societies, started as a writer, as a stand-up comedian, a lot of different stuff. A lot of them failed, of course. But what it helped me with that when I was ready and when I needed to, I knew what to cut and what to do in the end. So there are some end of the exploration. The good news is that it's not only about experiencing the stuff yourself. You can also read, listen to podcasts, watch videos, go to meetups and learn from other experiences. But it's also good when you are young, especially like saying yes a lot, try a lot of things and try to find your limit. Because when you find your limit, obviously I don't suggest getting suicidal, but try to find your limit and then you cut back and then you realize your full potential, basically. If you never find your limit, you will be living under your potential. And it doesn't have to be just about work. It's about this joint work and life project. So what helped me cut down, basically, throughout your life, and in 7 Habits, if you read it or attended the workshop, you can have many different roles in your life. It's like when you are in a play, you can be a king or a queen. In your life, you are a son, you're a student, you're a writer, a stand-up comedian, leader of a community, whatever. When I did the workshop in 2018, I think it was in Marianne, if I remember correctly, I actually identified back then like 12 different roles I considered important at the time. Now, 6 years later, I have only 5. And why these 5? Like already mentioned by a speaker before me, like self-care. It was not even in the list before. I never realized I need to take care of myself, basically. And that's the crucial one. Like, if you do not sleep well, if you do not move, if you do not learn, if you do not develop, everything else will suffer. So that's the biggest point, like focus on yourself first. And that's the 7 habits that sharpen the soul. And then I have others like father, last 5 years, husband, last 2 years. Those were not roles for me, like even a few years ago, most of my life, but I needed to adjust to them. And I set them as a priority above a professional. And professional, I don't have here anymore like sysadmin or manager or programmer or whatever, because when I realized like I have to do this integration, I try to be professional whatever job I do. So I was a consultant, I was a pre-sale consultant, delivery engineer, many different roles, but always I try to be professional. So that's my role. And when I change jobs, I do not need to change my role anymore because that's my role. And last one is community leader. That's the rest of it, like leader of societies, stuff like that. And I try to impact like my broader society or my immediate surrounding. So that's a bit about me and how the integration actually works. So goals, already talk about it. These are my roles, and I try to set some like longer term, not like next quarter, next year, but like 5-10 years, or like more like doctrine type like goals, like, okay, stay care, what does that mean? Stay fit, learn every day. A father, have fun with my son, teach him stuff like this. And why this is helpful, I think, because then you can do the integration and you can actually see, okay, when I'm staying fit, when I'm well slept, I'm better father, better husband, better at work. When I'm doing a good job, I'm a better teacher for my son, for example, or I can build better relationship because I learn better interaction at work or stuff like this. So instead of this integration, instead of this cutting, you can do the integrations. For example, you don't need to cut the commute. You can commute and read or listen to podcasts or find another activity to join with that. Or when you learn about management, you will be a better husband because you will talk better with your wife because you will know more about communication and managing your time and stuff like that. And you can build experiences together. Some examples. So we talk about it, like learn self-care, long-term goal, learn how do I turn this into practice. So let's read good about managing people. But it doesn't only help with the professional, but I will be a better father because when you learn about managing people, you will be better father in the end because the same techniques apply basically. The same goes with the husband. And I also have a book club with a few friends. So in the end, I can talk about the book with them on the book club. But it can be also the other way around. It doesn't have to be a book about managing people. Actually, one of the best books I've read about managing people were about raising kids, because not all people you ever employ are adults in the end. So, or doing a good job. Like I never actually, I think I asked about promotion, but when you do a good job and you're at a good company, you will get promotion and you will get a good feeling that you do a good job and that you get the promotion. So you take all of the self-care, you will have bigger impact because you have now more influence in your community, especially if you work at the local company. You will have more money for the experiences with your wife. You will be better father because now you're a better example for your son because you did something that you put in, you were recognized. That helps. And the last part is dealing with setbacks. So what really helps, have clear values. I was raised typical Slovak village, Catholic, whatever. Then I became like total opposite, atheistic, cynicism, nihilism, stuff like that. That comes the suicide part and then whatever. And in the end, I tried to figure out like what to do. And what really helped, like, again, apart from 7 habits and other parts, like writing your own personal values, personal constitution, but also like a family constitution. I actually sat down with my wife. We took like one evening and we put it together, and now we have it on our fridge. And when we have some tough decisions, we can come to it and deal with it. And also important concept like circle of influence and pragmatism. Do not waste time on stuff that you cannot change, or you have other stuff near to you you can change right now. Like focus on the circle of influence you have right now and expand it over time. And evaluating context, this last part, this is not only about me, but if you're anti-IT guy in Slovakia, you're investor world right now, like you're doing well, and it is easy to integrate. It's really hard to integrate for somebody who needs to have 3 jobs because they need food and food over their head. As an IT guy, you have time to think about things stuff like this, to go meetups like this. So let's start doing it. We have it easy right now at least. So that's it.
Perfect. So thank you for covering the things all together. The main takeaways that I see from Method's presentation is really there is some sort of an integration. It's not work versus another versus your balance or your private life. And I think what's the most important here, which Method wasn't talking really about, is that and that the reason why I like this presentation is that we are talking first life, and only then the work. And most of the time, what we try to optimize is the work, but that's not where the root cause is, right? So if you have some sort of a manual, like Method was saying, with your wife on the fridge, it's sort of pretty helpful, and then the rest of the life might become
one
easy.
thing I forgot to mention, actually the roles which will help you do the decision. Like one of my past jobs, I decided to quit because it was impacting my family, my son and my wife, and professional was below them. So it was easy decision to quit, even though I didn't have another job yet. Because, okay, these are impacting the more important roles right now, but it didn't change the professional part because I still wanted to be professional somewhere else. So I was looking for a new job. So that's it.
Yeah. So perfect. I don't think we have questions at this point of time. Is there somebody from the audience who would want to, ask questions on the sequence? Okay, Martina, go for it.
Can you name one thing from that constitution you have on the fridge?
One of them is we support each other, for example. So, for example, my wife has changed her career quite drastically because I told her, quit and don't worry about money. I will support you and you will find a new career. And that's how we try to apply it. And it's the vice versa. She also supports me when I need to do something like that. So,
yeah, perfect. Anybody else? So I guess we can take it offline while we network all together. We are good with the timing. Moving on to some sort of interesting things. So thank you, Method, once again. Time to hear from you. And actually, we are thinking about inviting you to do some sort of a quiz, or better to say, some joyful game about, we sort of presented you quite a lot of meaningful tips and tricks, I would say, from a variety of speakers and people. If you have, please, one of the things that comes from the top of your mind that you are really experiencing yourself or you want to share with us here in public, either you can raise your hand, you don't need to go to the Slido right away, you can speak up, or write something down if you wish to share the main tips and tricks. In reward, what we have for you, the main winner will receive some TechFellows merch. And moving one slide back, hopefully it works. I would be keen to give you some sort of, 20% discount on one of the leadership courses eventually. It is just for a winner. Otherwise, I don't want to see myself broke. So this might be one of your opportunities to move with that if you wish. So moving back to, of course, Method, moving calendar into it. Can you please expose something more about it?
It's similar to Lukas, I try to make schedules with myself, and when I plan my week, I actually put tasks throughout the weeks. I actually have the to-do-list in sync with the Google Calendar, so I can avoid syncing the stuff to do.
I think you can beat Method, because this is pretty basic.
But it works.
And it works. That's the reason why it works, right? So make it simple, stupid. With Martin, what do you mean by templates, please? If you can raise your hand. Okay, so would it be more specific?
There's some actions we do quite a lot, like traveling. I don't need to think about what should I pack. I have some travel plan.
Amazing.
And also stuff I need to manage before the travel.
Yeah.
So insurance and so on.
Yeah.
So I don't have to keep it in my head and just go
Yeah.
over some checklist.
Doubling that on that, I have my own traveling template or scheme or checklist, better to say. So that's one of the things. Okay, moving to quickly with Corina playing your day before. I love this one. Corina, can you please raise your hands here? Okay, so how do you proceed with that?
Before going to bed, I write in my journal what I did today. And I have another calendar where I write the main task, what I should do tomorrow, and then to put everything in a calendar.
Yeah.
So I write only the main task by time.
Yeah.
So in this case, if something pop up, I could like put them a little bit up or down to manage to do everything.
And this is one of the things that is helping me quite a lot, because normally I work like 10 or 12 hours a day, which wasn't the best, mix, as we said. Basically, I'm also using this trick. I have the post-it notes in this shape. I know it's funny, and each and every day before I lock my computer down, I'm just writing what's the most important thing, the one important thing that I should be doing the very next day, and it's very helpful because it drains my mindset from working still and what are the numerous of other things that I should be working on to, okay, I'm not done, I'm moving to family. And the next day I come to it, it's on my keyboard, and I'm not looking on my emails, I'm not looking on my Slacks, I'm not looking on something. I start with this one for the first 2 hours. If something gets broken or we are in the, fire, of course we have the cell phones, right? And this is how you can, sort of achieve your productivity. So thank you for that tip. I think we are moving. Moving to Vicky. Don't be a perfectionist. I love that. Okay. Almost a winner. Okay. So can you please tell us something more?
Well, I stole that from a very famous Facebook lady that I just forgot her name. The CEO of Facebook is called. What's her name?
Okay.
Oh, do you know?
CEO Facebook. Okay. I'm not sure now.
Okay, Sheryl Sandberg. Yeah, Sheryl Sandberg. Because I was reading her book and like this really resonated with me. Like I know she had this written in her office. Like done is better than perfect.
Yeah.
And I do think there's times to like be perfectionist, but also like mastering 80-20 and recognizing when to be a perfectionist and when actually.
Yeah.
Things has been like very valuable to me, I think.
And I love hearing that because when I'm mentoring people, especially engineering leaders and directors, this is the number one thing that I observe. I'm not kidding. If you are moved from the word of the binary word of engineering developers, you are thinking in binary word meaning ones and zeros, and all inside moving to management, you still want to have the tension of having everything 100%, which is a recipe for hell. So one of the things that again the Pareto rule, the 80% rule, if you as a manager make 80% of things and decisions right, you are a fucking good manager. Forget the rest 20%, because the average managers, they are, let's say, 40-50%, you know it. And if you optimize for 100%, you write a Bible nobody will read about regarding the, sorry to point a few Martin, processes. This was, for example, my experience. I ended up almost writing a Bible about Agile, nobody read. Okay? So moving on to E, the question to myself, does anyone know this? Have to be done. Okay, so is there anything more how we can answer on this question, please?
It's my question.
Yeah.
I'm not sure like what to elaborate. Basically, just like sometimes you feel like there is something you need to do, and then you realize nobody really cares, and you can just cut it out from the list.
Yeah, and we spoke pretty well about that with Martina, I guess, which is really so. For example, when somebody comes to you and says, "Okay, I'm your manager, and this is the thing that you should be doing from tomorrow," and forgetting all the things that you've been doing before, because yesterday I was talking with the chief sales officer, and while having a beer, we had a great idea. You know how it goes. And precisely coming back to Martina. So what you are doing, first of all, you start with, can I reject it? For you, it might sound like not possible because he's my boss or, CEO of the company. But first of all, come on, wake up, you have the strategy. So you can ask the question, is it aligned with our strategy? You have the roadmap, is it aligned with our roadmap? You can ask, okay, now that you think it's great. Please evaluate that compared to another, let's say, 7 epics that we have in progress. So I do think we should be moving with steering with the wheel, right? So you have the full opportunity of doing that. If not, delegate it. If not, plan it, of course, right? And this way, reduce, I would say, 70% of your potential work coming back to you in a very simplistic form, right? And I know it sounds like pure hypothetical, but it works. Okay. Perfect. Martin, email is not the instant messaging. Take time to read and answer.
That's it then. Yeah,
I think that's a good point.
Yeah, I think it's clear.
Yeah. Perfect. Hide your phone, very similar to I think regarding the phone. And then we can come to introduce new stage, almost done. Okay. Okay, is that a trick?
Actually, the point here is that there's a saying that the last mile takes you the most of the time, and it's about like you do your job, and at the end you need to format it, review it. You are waiting for somebody else for the feedback, etc., etc. But you did your job. I mean, the core was delivered. Mm-hmm. So let's introduce the stage almost done, and assign it to do your job at such stage of the work, and it will, I mean, increase your good feeling.
Have you done it for your company, in your company?
Actually, my developers introduce it.
I would kill you for that.
No, okay. I'm saying that because I can see how it works. So the functionality is almost done when it was, the core was developed, but it's, I don't know, a review or something.
Okay.
So the guys are happy because it's not in progress, it's almost done.
Okay.
So from productivity perspective, it's also, if you are happy, you are more productive. So it's interconnected.
I see. I'm sort of struggling with that thought, but let me review it once again. Okay, moving on, and thank you for that. With Mikhail, pick your battles, stay quiet as long as possible. Okay, sort of agreeing to that. Can you be more specific, please, Mikhail?
Yes, so you need to be aware of your values and definitely have the eyes on the ball and what you want to achieve. When, for example, you are spinning a lot of plates, and also regarding the staying quiet.
Yeah, which is coming basically back to the strategy, right? You've got to have certain strategy, and if you align with that, I think that it sort of allows you to move. I would sort of challenge stay quiet as long as possible.
So sometimes you might be the reason why some discussions are taking longer than they should maybe. And you should really focus on what is important.
There is one thing which is, usually I'm talking about it like, the top senior managers and the managers who are following are the ones who are sort of silent, if you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. And they are just sort of inverbally leading the discussion and the talk and the meetings. So I think this is what you have in your mind. That is one specific thing. The other specific things which I think we all have experienced is that you might have one of the most experienced team leads or tech leads in your company, and they are so much vocal that they share sort of a negative, basically toxicity and wisdom across the people, and they think they are the most knowledgeable ones because they see all the, dirty details that they have. So sometimes I'm telling people, you should really make sure that pick your ammunition, and shoot with that ammunition in a timely manner, as opposed to shooting like 10 times a day. Nobody will take care of your balance then, right? So yeah, thank you for that. I like it very much. Then moving to matters. Okay, this will be hard. Schedule design is perfect when there is nothing to remove. So can you describe that more in detail, please, Matthias?
Yes, actually, I read a book about some statistics that software companies spend a tremendous amount of time developing the features that nobody wants. And adding use cases that are never used. And not only that, then they are covering this with 100% coverage of automated testing. And fixing the bugs which were revealed in their very thorough process prior to release to production.
Yeah, love it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this multiplies the effort and the complexity. So. And it's very natural that people are asking, how can I make it better? So what can I add to make it even better? But sometimes the better idea is, and I try to challenge our product owners.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think we can still cut out of this code?
Yeah.
It will still fit the purpose. It will work, and it will not create additional extra work to be done. And the same you can apply for meetings. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. Nevertheless, you are neglected from the tone because you were managing me before. That would be sort of, you know, dependent. Kuba, something to put on that.
So I think it's funny actually because we're talking here about productivity hack, but I think we should think first what actually productivity means, and it goes directly to what you describe with rejecting things, and also. To
Matusz,
thought about roadmap contribution actually.
Yeah.
Because productivity doesn't mean actually how many tasks we finished, but I think it should say how many value we
how much value we generate.
How much value we generate for customers. So firstly, I didn't understand what you mean by rejecting, but right now I know, and I fully agree with that.
So coming back to Martina's talk, basically, you know, and the reason why I guess it was the trick number 1, right? So it's really working, I have to say. So perfect. And by the way, doubling that on what Matusz was saying, usually what I see in the companies, they optimize for the big D, which is delivery, right? How engineers work.
Yeah.
And we think that, you know, the discovery, the product management, and the adoption, meaning how it gets to production, it's sort of small. And we say, like, you know, we have the raw metrics here and the roadmap contribution and these sort of things. But to be honest, the delivery is, I would say, this small. And the big product management part and adoption is what really plays into game. What I mean to say, trash in, trash out, right? Like coming back to, you know, Matusz's addition, I want to make sure that the things have all fall through to some degree and have an additional value, and only then I put in the delivery. So I would rather optimize for making sure that most of the things that we produce end up being adopted by the customer. I would almost say fuck delivery. I cannot say it openly, but it is what it really is. So I would rather optimize normally, not with the delivery, but most of the time what I see is that product management is sort of broken, if I may be political enough. Okay. Perfect. Matej, overestimate, promise less than you can do. Woo! Okay. Can you be more specific, please, Matej?
Yeah, in Goal 9, I guess it can be taken from different angles. But,
okay.
I guess it helps to sometimes, you know, overestimate, you know, how much it will take to do the task, because people often are used to delivering rates to the end, or know that in that original mindset that I have to deliver this much. If you are in our position on engineering, you need to start thinking about how to improve stuff, how your application actually works, what it delivers to your customers, but often you don't have time to think about it. So oftentimes I take more time to think about, okay, will this be useful? Does it even need to be implemented?
Yeah.
If I'm not kind of rushed by everyone, and in the end, it is kind of better to deliver less, but what you promised, and something extra if there's enough time, rather than you being constantly 1 day late. And people will kind of get used to it. Okay, he's constantly doing something, he's constantly improving something. So even if it takes a longer time, I think they will kind of think you are better.
Perfect. Yeah. I like it. Although on the other hand, I'm sort of struggling with allowing people to, you know, creating some buffers, to be honest. Normally what I see is that when people are planning the quarterly roadmap, they think that 100% of their effort goes to the roadmap. Maybe that's what you are doing. The truth is that, you know, if you start measuring things, you end up saying, like, you know, only 50% goes to the product roadmap.
Yeah, I guess.
Then you have 20% with the technical and the rest is of roadmap. So this is the better way how to sort of optimize for your capabilities and for the planning of your capacity, as opposed to, you know, creating some sort of buffers. But I fully understand that what you are saying is that on the other hand, we should make sure that we work on the, value additional things, right?
Sure, but even if you plan, for example, for stuff like refactoring or doing stuff, if it's planned and it will happen this month or this week, people tend to be slower at doing that or trying to figure
It depends on your contracts in the company.
Grand improvements, but while you are improving, like if you are in the context, you can be much more effective to do it. And in the end, you might spend same amount like equally, like 20-80%, but you fixed it when you were in the context, when you understood the problem, not when you were, approaching someone else. Like at the end of the month, you'll fix everything that's wrong. You probably won't.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Week just trying to, what was that thing that I, maybe wrote somewhere, I'm going to fix it now.
Yeah.
You could either fix it.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you, Matej. And still, I would be hesitant to using the word overestimating. What you are rather saying is that, use our time wisely, right? So just to make sure that there is a value. So coming back to what basically Matej was saying in the end. Perfect. So we've got it. We have a couple of 3 last answers, which are from Martin. Engagement is the key. Okay. It decreases engagement drastically if you command and control. Okay. So what's the very special situation in that, if you can describe it more in detail?
Very specific situation. Actually, I can see very clearly that if the team is not engaged, I mean, in the topic, that, for example, they are not the one who propose the solution, but they are the one who get the exact instruction how to develop something. They are not engaged. It takes longer. The feeling, the spirit is missing, etc. So it's always like that. Engagement is very much needed for productivity. So that's the main point here.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, perfect. So of course the engagement and of course explaining people why you do things. In addition, that being said, I think the motivational factor, right? Exactly. So that's what we talk about. Okay. Joseph, set boundaries and limits. So we are at the level of, I guess, positive constraints. So if you can describe it.
Like when you are given a task and you can get creative, but you maybe explore too many options and you can be stuck like which option to choose. And many times it happens to me as a developer that when there are hard constraints, either it's delivery time or the scope of the project, or like the platform is the support, it limits your like
scope. And time.
But you can be still creative to get the task done, and maybe after this you can explore more options. But it really helps with productivity, like being in focus.
So that being said, setting some, I call it positive constraints, right? So they are not sort of negative to sort of limit you of some sort of creativity. To be honest, we are coming back to the question: why are we paid by the end of the day by the company? It is to generate some value, not to be too much creative, if I may put it this way. Sometimes, right? So, but on the other hand, we need to get some balance in between. Okay. Luke, delegate to LLM. Okay. So who's in the audience for that?
Here.
So how much time how often are you using LLM to basically enhance your productivity?
It's hard to say how much I use it because I develop with it, so it's like almost all the time.
Okay.
But I think it's a really good exercise to like try to use it and like create that explanation to an LLM, because that really helps you also for you to clear the things out. Like if you understand the task, once that you write the prompt right, like you often get the results straight away, or like at least a very good starting point.
Okay, actually I like it.
So
perfect. Yeah, thank you for that, Luke. And to moving to LP, noise cancelling headphones. Okay. You have some special experience with that, please?
It really makes your life easier, I would say.
Okay.
People don't talk to you at first. You don't hear them, and you can really focus.
Perfect.
Comment this well.
Yeah. I'm here with you. the others as well.
I could add just to maybe not to exclude phones, but to change to a button one.
Okay.
One of my friends tried it, and no one reached him for several months, and he found a piece. So this would be a solution.
So he came back to reality fully relaxed.
Yes.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah.
I have a question. You skipped over a couple of the answers.
Yeah, my apologies for that. Yeah.
And somebody wrote, avoid group thinking at all cost. And I think the name was Nazari.
Mm-hmm. Nazari, avoid group thinking. Okay, which comes back to some sort of a meetings, I guess, or if you can describe more that in detail. Yeah, my apologies.
That's actually, I think it's like kind of a hot take. I heard for the first time this statement in Teresa Torres's book, Continuous Product Discovery Habits, and it's more like PM content. So I'm not sure if, but I think it's relevant for majority in this room anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea is basically that you don't attend the meeting that, obviously you don't attend the meeting that doesn't have an agenda, that's for sure. But it's like you don't even attend the meeting if there is not a particular owner of the solution that is being proposed. So you avoid the meeting where everyone can kind of tip in with the solution. So brainstorms in general, they scientifically are proven to be less productive than individual coming up with the solution and gathering the feedback. So that's at least something that we are trying this year in the team.
Yeah.
That seems to work quite well.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Perfect. I like it. And of course, as you were saying, thank you for raising that. Of course, we have cutting unproductive meetings. We have decide, delegate, and only then accept. I think again coming close to Martina's point. And Lubo, I think I like it pretty well. The focus time and strong hour. What it means in practice, if you can expand on that.
Very simple. It's connected with these headphones. You just put your headphones and you say, in next hour I will just do it.
Okay.
It's very simple. You could call it, I will do this strong hour, and you will just do it.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it helps.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah, but time is ticking. I finish on time is also good.
Yeah.
We don't need to talk about everything.
Okay, perfect. So I think we shared a couple of tips, and that's what really we wanted to achieve in the end of the day, just to make sure that we understand each other's perspective.